Hi, and welcome to Season 2 of That's Ruddy Mysterious, a podcast of short tales about true mysteries. What created the Potomsky Crater? Who was involved in the 1963 Great Train Robbery? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts and references for all episodes can be found at that'sruddymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point.
Today's tale is about Isla Bermeja. Bermeja was an island in the Gulf of Mexico. It sat at 22 degrees 33 minutes north latitude, 91 degrees 22 minutes east longitude, northwest of the Yucatan Peninsula, although the location of the island has seemed to change on different maps. It was about 80 square kilometers or 31 square miles. It had always been uninhabited. The island got its name from the Spanish word for red, Bermejo. The first time Bermeja appeared on a map was in 1536. Cartographer Alonso de Santa Cruz drew the map. Isla Bermeja appeared on his Santa Cruz Atlas of the World Islands. He wrote, "By the same wind by 20 leagues is another island called Bermeja." Santa Cruz described the island as being reddish or blondish in color. After this map was drawn, the island appears on most maps of the area until 1941. Bermeja, sometimes called Vermeja, appeared on maps that were drawn by Spanish explorers in the 16th and 17th centuries. It appeared on a map created by Harry S. Tanner titled A Map of the United States of Mexico, as organized and defined by the several acts of Congress of that republic. Strangely, in the 19th century, the island began to disappear from newly created maps. It was last mapped in the 1921 edition of Geographic Atlas of the Mexican Republic. In 1946, it appeared for the last time in a government-printed schoolbook. Then it simply disappeared. Bermeja hasn't been seen since the mid-20th century, so what happened to it? Did it ever really exist? The logs of several ships that passed through the area show that the island did indeed exist. The Treaty on Maritime Boundaries between the United Mexican States and the United States of America was signed on May 4, 1978. It established that the maritime border between the two countries should be equidistant between them. In 1982, the UN codified the Law of the Sea, in which it was determined that a sovereign right to resources goes out to sea 200 miles from the country's land border. The existence of Isla Bermeja would have given Mexico 15% more territory. In 1997, however, the border between the countries was in dispute again. The two countries were looking to divide a stretch of water known as Hoyos de Dona. The Mexican government sent an expedition to find Bermeja Island. If the Mexican government found the island, their reach would be extended and they would have rights to more area in which they could drill for oil. The search, however, did not locate Isla Bermeja. In 2008, the Senate Republic of Mexico asked the government to launch another expedition to find Isla Bermeja. On March 20, 2009, researchers from the National Autonomous University of Mexico, also known as UNAM, searched both above water and below looking for traces of the island. They found nothing. Isla Bermeja was an important part of the Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ, and was believed to have had a lot of oil. The disappearance of Isla Bermeja caused the loss of 22.5 billion barrels of oil for Mexico. The island was so important to Mexico's economy that 3 separate official investigations for the island were launched in 2009. All 3 investigations used the best technology available, and yet Isla Bermeja remained elusive. Geographer Israel Baxen Martinez said of the search, "During this time, the Mexican government searched extensively for the island but came up with nothing, which halted much of its leverage at the negotiation table." On March 29, 2009, the oceanographic ship Justo Sierra from UNAM conducted an on-site study both above and below water. The results of this expedition were published in the June 25, 2009 edition of the UNAM Gazette. It said, "There are no vestiges of an island in the area studied. The Gazette also said, "At the point of interest, the sea has a depth of 1,472 meters and is on a flat bottom." The second expedition of 2009 launched on May 25th and ended on June 1st. The Mexican Navy ship Rio Tuxpan found no signs of the island and concluded that the island was a mapping error all those years ago. The third expedition launched not long after, on June 5th, 2009. Michel Antichev, a cartography specialist, said, "La Bermeja is not the only disappeared island. The small archipelago called in all the old maps Negrillos Islands, or the Reef of Negrillo, does not exist, nor do the other keys or reefs such as the so-called Arias Bank." In 2011, both the United States of America and Mexico agreed to halt drilling for oil in the area so they could find the island. Attempts to find the island included searches by air and satellite, and these also all failed to find Isla Bermeja. What happened to Isla Bermeja? There are several theories. Some believe the island disappeared due to rising sea levels caused by global warming. Some think that an underwater earthquake caused the island to disappear. There are those that believe that the Central Intelligence Agency from the United States of America blew up the island to gain access to those 22.5 billion barrels of oil. Still others believe that the Mexican government blew Bermeja up to keep drug traffickers away. Jose Angel Cioncielo, chairman of a Mexican political party at the time, pushed this theory. He said that Mexico colluded with America to blow up the island. Months after pushing this theory, Jose was run off the road and died. The crime was never solved. Some believe he was killed because he was right about his theory. It seems hard to believe the island was blown up. That would have required the use of a hydrogen bomb, and only the U.S. had motive, means, and opportunity. But wouldn't people have seen that? Some people believe that the island has just naturally eroded, but this seems unlikely because there are no underwater traces of the island. Some say the island sank due to a tidal wave, but again this seems unlikely because there are no traces of the island underwater. Some say the island disappeared because of shifts in the geological floor. They say the island has moved. This theory also seems unlikely because a moving island would have been charted as it moved. Julio Zamora, president of the Mexican Society of Geography, said countries making maps in the 16th and 17th centuries published them with inaccuracies to prevent their enemies from using them. He, along with others, believed that the island never existed and was invented to confuse rivals. Zamora said that a fake island, strategically placed, could make people avoid the area. UNAM said that the island never existed. They said that if an island had been there, they would have discovered remnants on the ocean floor, and there are no remnants to account for the existence of Isla Bermeja. Iracema Alcantara from the Geography Institute at UNAM disagrees. She believes that Isla Bermeja existed, but maybe not where it was charted. She said, "We've encountered documents containing very precise descriptions of Bermeja's existence. On this basis, we firmly believe that the island did exist, but in another location." Meanwhile, Jamie Iratira, the director of UNAM, says that Isla Bermeja was a cartographic error that was simply copied without verification. What happened to Isla Bermeja? Did it ever exist, or was it simply a map error that was repeated? Did it erode into the seabed, or maybe it moved with shifting geological plates? What do you think?
Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ready Mysterious. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a review and follow That's Ready Mysterious to be updated about new episodes. Tune in next Tuesday for another thought-provoking tale.